Hey folks, welcome to The Zone, the channel where we have a chat about my team, Manchester United, and a few other general things. Today I wanted to talk about obviously the Liverpool game, which unfortunately I didn't manage to get out in time, and the game today against Southampton. So I don't want to brush over the Liverpool game, but we've all seen it. We've all seen the goals. We've all seen the dramatic improvement in performance. I think it was a brilliant performance. Unfortunate not to get the clean sheet because I think we played really, really well, but it's always difficult to keep Liverpool out. As Bournemouth have just found out, as they've just slotted 9 past them. So it's always difficult to keep a clean sheet in the Premier League. I think the days of saying 1-0, let's get a 1-0, let's build a solid defence, I think that's gone. I think in the Premier League today, if you can keep your opponent down to just 1 goal, then it's your job to score 2. I don't think clean sheets are a big thing anymore. I don't think it's as big as it used to be. And I think if you let 1 in, it's not the end of the world. If you're letting in 2 and 3, obviously that's a problem. But I don't see any shame of letting in 1 goal in the Premier League. All the teams are trained well enough to score goals these days, and they come out and have a go. So the performance was really, really good. I put that down to probably Ten Hag making the players run more in training, but he ran with them. So that obviously builds a bond. They're like, well, if he's in it, I'm in it. And they built a bond and they all fought for him. Now, the reason potentially I didn't really make a video on that was I didn't want to go overboard. I really, really enjoyed the result. Like, trust me, I absolutely loved the result. Was buzzing the whole evening. But in my back of my mind, I'm thinking these players will, like Roy Keane has said, they'll throw this manager under the bus again, and they will go back to their level. I don't think these players are very good, and I think eventually they will return to form. They can have ups and downs, they can have really high highs and some average games, but I think overall, over the course of a season, you end up where you belong. So I didn't want to get too overboard. I was more interested in the Southampton game because Southampton are a bit of a bogey team for us. They play well. Sometimes they're really compact and defensive, and other times they fly out and press at you and cause you a load of problems. Today, they sort of sat back, and it was our job to try and break them down. And I was worried that Bruno was going to have one of his games where, I don't know if anyone else has noticed this about Bruno, but when he hasn't got balls to ping in over the shoulder and in behind and counter-attack, he gets a bit frustrated, he'll start moaning, and it all gets a bit like, it becomes not very nice to watch, and we struggle to break down teams. We don't have that, like, for want of a bad example, we don't have that like Paul Scholes to pick the lock, or like in the old days of Man City, a David Silva, right? We don't have that lock picking player, and if we do, his name's Eriksen, and unfortunately he's having to play deeper to accommodate Bruno. I don't know how that will work long term, but I think we played quite well. However, I did get the sense of we were a bit lucky. We were holding on, and I was really, really pleased with the clean sheet. Like, if anything, you can throw the sort of performance out of the window, because there was only one thing that mattered today, and I know it's a bit cliche, but it was 3 points. It didn't really matter how we got them. We just needed to have back-to-back victories. We didn't want to beat Liverpool and then stumble to Southampton and make it all seem pointless, because then on the flip side, we may as well have lost to Liverpool and beaten Southampton, right? It still would have been 3 points. But luckily and importantly, well, not really luckily, I would say determinedly, we got the 3 points, making us have now 6 points, and that was really important. I don't think the performance was particularly expansive. I don't think it was particularly creative. I don't think Sancho played well. I don't think Rashford played well. I don't think Alanga played well. Bruno was sort of all right. McTominay, I think he completed 8 passes in the first half from a Manchester United midfielder. Really, really don't rate the bloke. And I think Eriksen was probably our better player. He was doing some nice link-ups. But we got the goal, and we defended decently enough, and we held on, and we got the 3 points. And really, that's all that matters. Casemiro made his debut, and I don't want to go over the top, but when he came on, I think You can tell a quality player. They position themselves well. Nothing seems too crazy. They're not diving in. They're not sliding. They're just in the right place at the right time, a bit like Thiago Silva. They're pointing around. They're commanding. And I think he'll be a really important player because he's either going to play with Scott, and that will help Scott because I'm absolutely sure he'll lay down the law and tell him what he wants from him, or he'll be playing with Fred like he does in the Brazil team, I believe, and that will have a connection. And that will allow maybe Bruno and Eriksen to rotate and give some pressure on his place, which normally he does perform when there's a bit of pressure on his place, so that'll be good. Now, in terms of striking options, unfortunately, I love Cristiano Ronaldo. It was wonderful seeing him return to Man United. You know, I really did enjoy it, the buzz, everything. I'm really glad I got to see him playing a Man United shirt again, and I don't even think he's a bad player. It'd be daft to say Ronaldo is a bad player, but the position he's asked to play in and the style he's asked to play in is he's having to run at people a lot, and he's just not very quick. You saw it 1 or 2 times when he came on towards the end. You know, back in his youth, he would have beat that guy to the ball, would have broke away from him, and he would have laced it into the back of the net. And it must be incredibly frustrating for Ronaldo, because when you've been the greatest player on earth, and arguably ever to touch a football, to be thinking to yourself, man, I know I could and should in the past be able to run away from that guy and score. It must be frustrating. Ronaldo has achieved everything in the game, and I'm not going to knock him for having a bit of a bad performance at this age. I think he can suit the role of coming on and trying to get goals. Whether he wants that role is an entirely different story, and he's well within his rights in the twilight of his career to say, look, I just want to play in the Champions League. That's where I thrive. The big knockout games, you know, that's where I want to play. And I understand that. But the reason I mention it is we need a forward, whether it be Anthony, whether it be Depay, whoever. We need a little bit of strengthening. And Ten Hag said at the end, right up until the window closes, we'll be fighting every last moment to strengthen the squad. So overall, I think it was a really important 3 points, more so than just the pure 3 points on the table, because it gets at Ten Hag on a bit of a run. Not that really 2 wins in a row is a run, but you know what I mean. And I think, yeah, I just think it was a great performance against a bit of a bogey team. I don't think, a great result. Don't particularly think it was a great performance, but I can let it slide. However, that can't continue. I don't think that performance we put in today is going to have us fighting for titles, no, but it's early days. I remember Klopp and Pep had issues when they were trying to implement their system, and luckily they got the players they wanted. Our manager isn't getting the players he wanted. At the very start of the season, we were told, where the bloke sat down at the pub, Richard Arnold, with the fans, he said, yeah, we're going to totally back the manager. It was Frankie de Jong and Anthony. And we're now coming into September, scrambling around for like 100 million for Anthony, and Frankie de Jong has now officially rejected us. So the people above still don't know how to do deals, it seems. I'm not trying to say I would know any better, because I wouldn't, but I'm sure there are other people in the world that can do a better job. And the owners are still shit. And I will keep saying it until they're gone. Non-Man United fans don't understand that they don't put any money into the club. They just see, oh, well, they've spent a lot on transfers. How can you moan? Like, for example, let's say we were to spend 100 million on Anthony. Rival fans would say, you got Casemiro and Anthony and Malacia and blah, blah, blah. They've spent loads of money. How can you moan? Our club doesn't spend that much. You're spoiled. And it's like, they're not spending their money at all. If I owned Manchester United, I could spend that much money. So it's just one of them. I'm just glad we got the 3 points. I am still back in Ten Hag. I think this man deserves time and patience. And if anybody doesn't go his way or like buy into the system, they should be going, not him. So positive. It's been really nice to get a couple of victories. I've been able to watch Match of the Day, which has been a bit new to me. And look, like I say, Man City just beat Palace 4-2. They conceded twice. It's all about your firepower. It's all about your ability to do a bit of defending, but score. I don't think there's enough goals in our team at the moment, so we definitely need some improvement going forwards. I'll be honest, I don't think we're probably going to win the league whilst Pep is there. Man City's squad is so good that they can be struggling and wheel off Cancelo, I think they wheeled off, I could be wrong, but it was someone like Foden, Cancelo, Mahrez, and they brought on Gundogan, Alvarez, and someone else, and they turned the game around. And yeah, like, that is a level that unfortunately we don't have. We're starting a Langer and stuff. So I don't think especially whilst Haaland's there, the guy's so strong, he's such a cheat code. I don't think we're going to be winning any titles, but I'd like to see us steadily improve. And so far, it's been a little bit better, but fuck the Glazers. They need to go, right? Glazers out, lads.